Hey guys, it's Generalkidd here. How's everyone doing today? So, for today's video, we're doing something a lot different than usual, and I'll be showing you guys how to play Nintendo Switch games on a PS4. And that's right, by PS4, I do actually mean a PlayStation 4. You see, I think this is the first time around where one console of the same generation can emulate another console from another generation. And at the moment, only the PS4 can do that. But as you can see here, this is a Nintendo Switch game running on PS4 hardware. Now, of course, there's a lot of tricks involved to get this to work. And quite frankly, the average person probably isn't going to want to do this anyways, because it takes a lot of setup. But anyways, just for proof, because a lot of people are going to say it's fake and everything, because it is really hard to believe, actually, because this is the first time it's ever been possible. But I'll show you from the beginning, from start to end, booting up the PS4, and then how the whole process is to run a Nintendo Switch game on the PS4. So this PS4 is actually my friend Durf's PS4. If you remember my video about playing Halo 1 and 2 on the PS4, that was actually recorded by Durf at the time. But he actually loaned me his PS4, which I'm very grateful for. And now I can actually do some more experiments like this to see what else we can run on a PS4. But I do want to thank my buddy Durf again for loaning me his PS4, because not many PS4s out there can be modded anymore. Only like the really old ones can, and only if you didn't update them as well. So a PS4 that can be exploited in this way, there's probably not too many of them floating around anymore these days, because once you update it, or if it's a newer model, it's not going to work. But anyways, getting Nintendo Switch games to run is pretty much the same way that we got Halo 1 and 2 to run on a PS4. Meaning, we had to boot into Linux. So, obviously, like I said, we do need a modded PS4 for that, which does make this PS4 very special. But once we boot into Linux, well, first of all, booting into Linux itself is a little finicky sometimes, but it actually took me a little bit to figure out how to get it fully working. And actually another thing is to play Nintendo Switch games on the PS4, it's very tricky because you need a lot of RAM. So I had to use a version of Linux for PS4 where it got 7 gigabytes of RAM and 1 gigabyte for the graphics card on it, which is just barely enough to run some games. And I'll explain a little bit later why that's like such a huge limitation, because obviously the Nintendo Switch itself doesn't have more RAM than the PS4. But anyways, so the emulator that we are using on Linux is called Yuzu, which is the only Nintendo, I think there might be more, but this is like the most popular and well-developed Nintendo Switch emulator out there. If you want to check it out, I'll put the link in the description. But you do need a pretty good PC to run Yuzu at a, playable, frame rates and stuff, playable performance, which is the key word there. Playable performance. The PS4, yes, when it first came out, it was the most powerful console of its generation, but that was 2013. It is now 2019, almost 2020 really, and for those of you watching this video in the future, it is 2020 then. But yeah, the PS4 is pretty old now, and even when it first came out, compared to PC, it was pretty underpowered already. So with the Yuzu emulator, you obviously need a system that's a lot more powerful when emulating another console. And the PS4 is indeed more powerful than Nintendo Switch, but not powerful enough to run that many games. A lot of games just simply don't work. The only game I'm able to show you guys, like actually somewhat working, is Super Mario Odyssey, which, well, really the title shouldn't be playing Nintendo Switch games, it should be running Nintendo Switch games. Because playing is a very loose term in this case. But anyways, as you can see, we just booted up the Switch game there. This is still on the PS4. In the top right corner, I have the live video going on just so you can see what's actually going on, off screen. But for the moment, Super Mario Odyssey does boot up just fine. It's telling me to use like the different ways to use the controller. Little does the game know, it's actually not on the Switch at all. But yeah, so here it is, the game running on the Switch. This is the main menu, or the start menu, I guess. And if you look in the bottom right corner, the frame rate is actually running pretty well for the main menu. It's running at almost 60 frames per second. A little few drops here and there. But yeah, that's just the main menu. Let's go into gameplay now. Let's actually start the game and see what happens. So the main menu runs pretty smoothly. That's actually pretty impressive, considering the PS4. See, the minimum requirements for this emulator is 8 gigabytes of RAM, but it actually only has 7 gigabytes of RAM. So the fact that I can run like this game at all is pretty impressive. It's like just along like the margin of what can and can't be run. And I have to make sure like everything is closed, no browsers, like nothing else open, bare minimum. But even then, the PS4 also has a really weak CPU. It's 8 cores, yeah, but it's like a really like weak mobile CPU from AMD. And there was actually a lot of debate from other people before this about whether PS4 could even run this emulator. And I've proven that you can run it, but like I said, keyword is run. When this game runs on the PS4, it's not playable at all. It runs at like 3 or 4, maybe 5 at best frames per second. It's basically runs in slideshow mode. And on a PS4 particularly, after a while, or actually not even a while, after a little bit, it freezes the entire system. I'm guessing like it ran out of RAM or something like that, or whatever reason, but it doesn't get very far. Now I know there's a lot of games out there for the Switch. I don't have many Switch games, and to set this up, I did have to like use my own Switch games, and you actually even need your own Nintendo Switch to be able to set up the emulator in general. But once all that's set up, I only had a couple games to test with, and Super Mario Odyssey was the only one that actually worked on the PS4. All the other games just didn't have enough RAM to start up. All those would just simply do nothing. This game starts up a little bit, but just freezes after a little while. And there's also a lot of graphical glitches, too, as you can see. But after a little bit, it did freeze my PS4. But yeah, so there you guys have it. This is it is actually somewhat possible to play Nintendo Switch games on a PS4. If you have a modded PS4 Pro, you'll probably have better luck, better mileage than I did. But this is a base PS4, so it can't run games very well. It's a very weak system compared to the minimum requirements for this emulator. But anyways, nonetheless, it is quote-unquote possible. But yeah, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, leave thoughts and comments. If you want to see me test out more stuff like this in the future, or anything else for me to check out or look into, just let me know, and I'll do my best to get around to that when I can. But other than that, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all next time. Bye, guys.